Hi, everyone. Welcome to episode 4 of 5v4 Introduces, and I'm absolutely delighted to have one of my favorite people from Twitch joining me this week. We're joined by Gaprunner. Gaprunner, how are
Hey
you, my friend?
guys. I'm doing great, man. Yeah, it's been good hanging out on Twitch with everybody and just meeting all kinds of awesome people, man. I'm super excited to be on here. I when you first announced it, I was like, "Oh man, I want to be a guest." And I'm so honored and like privileged to you letting me be on here. So yeah, I'm excited.
No, you were definitely one of the first names on the list, man. Absolutely. Um, so what I usually do is we'll go through a few questions of kind of stuff related to Twitch, a few bits about kind of you growing up, which I know you're young compared to some of the people that we've spoken to. So Um,
hmm
but it gives a different perspective because you'll have grown up in a different era. And then we've got a little bit of a something to make us think at the end. So we'll make a start. But first things first, Gap Runner, where did the name come from?
Oh, I love answering this question. So many people have asked about it, and it's going to be cool. So when I was a kid, I used to live in North Carolina, and there is a road. It's like on the border of North Carolina and Tennessee, and it's called well, the road is like the tail of the dragon, but the area around it is called Deal's Gap. Um, and my family and I, we would go on like camping trips and stuff like that down there because they have like a campground like right for the road and stuff. And the road is special because there's 318 turns in 11 miles. It's crazy, and it's like in the mountains. It's insane. But it's very popular for motorcyclists. And my dad was very, is an avid motorcyclist and stuff like that. So when I was little, I used to ride on the back of the bike with him on that road. And the term for it was like running the gap. So you would ride your bike on the gap. So I kind of to pay homage to that experience with my dad and my family and stuff like that. So yeah, that's where that came from.
That's amazing. It's such a good story, and to have a game attack that means so much as well. It's
Yeah.
amazing. Like so, we kind of started out on Twitch around about the same time, so it's probably been around about sort of 3 months. I know you had a little bit of a break around Christmas, but right now it seems like you're going from strength to strength on Twitch. But what made you start initially?
So that's funny. I don't think there was anything that there wasn't necessarily one thing that was like, okay, you're gonna start doing Twitch, right? I Because of COVID, I did have a job out here at school, and when I had to go back home for the rest of the spring semester and stuff like that, that kind of fell away, and I wasn't necessarily comfortable with how the old job was handling COVID and stuff like that.
Yeah,
So I was like, all right. I mean, I've always loved. I was like, let's think of some alternatives. So I was like, I've always loved YouTube. I mean, I've grown up with YouTube really.
yeah,
When like the golden age of YouTube, like 2012 to 2016, like I was still really young, during that time period. So I was like, man, this is awesome. I want to do this.
mm,
And but I don't have time to edit. So I was like, okay, well, let's go to Twitch. And it just kind of happened. That just popped into my head one day. I was like, all right, we're gonna do this. And the rest is kind of history.
yeah.
And it's been an awesome part of my life, and I don't know where I'd be without it right now.
To be fair, you're very good at it. It seems to come really naturally. And obviously, like I said before, your channel seems to be going from strength to strength. Everybody knows who you are in our community of kind of people of similar levels. What do you
Mhm.
make of the success that you're seeing? Like, what's your thoughts on it? What do you put it down to?
I mean, you mean like what do you think is contributing to it, or just like
Mm,
my thoughts on it as a whole?
both.
All right. I think my thoughts on it as a whole is like I mean, I've talked to you about it in your streams and stuff like that, and you and mine, vice versa, where I don't give myself enough credit. I'm very hard on myself, so like it's hard to compliment myself. But I don't know. I think the best part about my channel is at least I try to be pretty much what you see on camera is what you would get in real life. Like I want to be as genuine of a person and as real as I can be on camera. And so I think that that's relatable, and I think a lot of people like that, which is cool.
Yeah.
And then just to have that success is humbling because I didn't think I would ever actually get there, and to
Mhm.
finally see the results of my hard work finally coming to fruition is amazing. And I'm just excited to see where it goes.
Yeah, because you've had to revisit a couple of goals, haven't you? Because you've met them earlier than expected. How was that?
Oh yeah, man. So my goal for March was to hit 400 followers, and I hit 400 followers. Like 2 weeks in. I mean,
Mhm.
we're only 14 days into March, so it's like that's unreal. And as of today, I'm at 421, which is just crazy to me. I didn't expect that. So I think like the revised goal is 450. I'd say. I think that's reasonable. But I mean, if I could hit 500 by the end of March, that'd be insane. I wouldn't know what I would do with myself.
There'd need to be some sort of celebration on stream.
Oh, absolutely.
So given you're hitting these goals early and you're having to change them and things, what goals have you set for the end of 2021?
All right. So I'd say, I mean, the big goal I think for me is by the end of the year, I want to hit 1,000 followers. And
Mhm.
I think that's very doable, based on some of the growth that I've seen, in March. But I also just want to grow as not just as a streamer, I mean, we can talk about numbers all day, but I want to be able to grow my community and grow as a person and grow with them too,
Mhm.
So I don't know, man. It's just like if I had to put a number to it, it would be the 1,000 followers, but there's so much more to just the numbers
Yeah,
than you know what I mean? So
the intangible things.
yeah, exactly.
Nice. Excellent. All right. So I know you're still young. You're 19, right?
Yeah, that's correct.
Um,
Almost 20 in like a month.
um, so growing up, what were your biggest interests when you were younger?
So I've always loved video games. I mean, like video games and racing. So I mean, I'm going to school for mechanical engineering and motorsports engineering. When I was like my dad has always been into cars, so that's always been a huge interest for me is racing and just being around cars and stuff like that.
Mhm.
But yeah, so that also came kind of from video games as well. So when I was the PS2 my dad bought when it was new, and played a lot of Gran Turismo. Like I remember sitting in his lap playing Gran Turismo like when I was like 3 or 4. It was awesome. But yeah, so cars is a big one. And then I think when I was around like 8, I'd say 7 or 8, my mom played saxophone in high school. So she still owned her saxophone from high school. So she pulled it out one night and was like, "Hey, try and play a note on this." And
Mhm.
that night I figured it out. And I was like, "Oh man, there's something here, right?" Being 7 and playing a saxophone was really cool. And then like all throughout high school and middle school, high school, and even to now, I still play saxophone and I love it. I did marching band, I did the symphony orchestra
Mhm.
stuff, all kinds of that is like I love music. I'm very much a theater kid. Like I did the musicals and stuff like that. It's so yeah. If I had to pick three, I would say video games, music, and then cars.
Nice. Um, so talking about gaming, um, what was the first game you ever played? Was it Gran Turismo, or was there another one that you remember playing?
All right, this this is kind of a funny one. So there was this Winnie the Pooh game. It was like it had like a bunch of mini games or something for the PlayStation 1. And I remember, I think I was like, kind of along the lines, my parents were like, all right, well, he's sitting in dad's lap watching him play Gran Turismo. Let's like actually let him play. Right. So they got me this like Winnie the Pooh game. And all I remember is it was just like those games to help kids learn kind of thing. It wasn't like a massive game. It wasn't hard or anything. It was just like, oh, look at the Winnie the Pooh characters. Like, here's some mini games. Spell this word, something like that. Oh,
Amazing.
yeah. Yeah. Uh,
Amazing. So Winnie
that
the Pooh and
or
Gran Turismo.
yeah. Oh man.
Brilliant. Um, Still on gaming, what is the best game you've ever played? Or what was the game that really changed it for you and hooked you?
Oh man. Oh, this is a hard one. So if I had to pick like the game that really made me like love video games like as a whole, and is still probably one of my favorite, if not my favorite game of all time, has got to be Skyrim. Because I got an Xbox 360. I think like kind of not right away. I think we got it like 2 years after. So I think it was like 2013 when I got the 360. And that came with Skyrim. And I remember having spent so much time because my dad at in that around that time had gotten laid off. So he was at home a lot. And I remember there was one weekend where I stayed up till like 4 a.m. hanging out with him and watching him play it. And then I eventually started playing it myself. And it is an amazing game. There's a reason why it's 10 years old and people still play it. You know what I mean? So it's
Yeah.
yeah.
It's actually, funnily enough, still on my list of games to play that I've never gotten around
You've
to.
never played Skyrim?
No.
Oh man, you have to. It is one of yeah, it is definitely one of the best games ever made. Like it is simple but also very complex. Like the menu system and the gameplay is relatively straightforward, but the story is amazing. Like it is so fun.
I'll definitely give that a go. You mentioned music, and obviously you're quite a musician, being able to play the saxophone. Um, do you play anything else other than saxophone, or was it religiously saxophone that you fell in love with?
In terms of instruments, yeah, it was mainly saxophone. I mean, freshman year and like a little bit of, I played a little bit of drums, like not like actually in marching band or anything like that, but like during pep rallies, like I would play my saxophone and then switch over to the drum briefly, like stuff like that. And then, but yeah, nothing more than the saxophone mainly. But I do also, I did chorus from junior year and senior year, and like I said, I was in the musical. So senior year, I played Uncle Fester in the Addams Family, which was
Really?
it was awesome, dude. It was so much fun.
If there was ever a picture that needs to be on Twitter,
I'll see if I can dig some pictures up. There are some floating around.
that would be
Maybe if
amazing.
if like a theater day comes around, I know that exists. So
A
we'll drop
celebration
it.
for 500 followers, maybe. An Uncle
Oh,
Fester themed stream.
here's my oh god, I had to wear a bald cap and my entire head was painted gray. I'm not I don't-
Amazing. That's so good.
Oh man, yeah, it was a ton of fun. I actually there's a it's hard to see, but in my background here, right here, there's a that's a Funko Pop that my girlfriend got me of Uncle Fester.
I love it. That's amazing.
Yeah, it was awesome.
And still with music. So if there was one instrument you could play and be an absolute master at, what would it be?
Ooh, I've always loved the trumpet, but
Mhm.
I've also always loved guitar, but I just suck at it. Like I have it. It's more just like a wall decoration at this point. I'm not
Mhm.
I've had it since I was like 15, maybe 15 or 16, something like that. And I just could never play it, man. It's so difficult. Like I'm so used to saxophone. Like I had never played a string instrument before then. And I don't know, like I can play some chords, but like doing the tabs and stuff like that
Mhm.
is brutal. Like I just can't get it.
Yeah, I totally feel you there. I made it my lockdown goal in COVID to be able to play the guitar by the end of it.
Mm.
It's back in the cupboard under the stairs, gathering dust.
Oh man.
It didn't go well.
Oh.
Um, Musically, outside of like saxophone and marching band and things like that, when you're kind of you're chilling, you're listening to music, what sort of bands and things do you listen to?
Oh man, I love all kinds of music. Okay, I will say the only music I won't listen to is like super hard metal and country. I cannot stand country music. I mean, there's like pop country. There's some songs that are like okay, but I will not listen to country on the regular basis at all. But yeah, I mean, it mainly just depends on what I'm feeling, right? I think that's the same for a lot of people. It's like, um, just what are you in the mood for, kind of thing. But if I had to pick, my favorite band is definitely Coldplay. I got
Nice.
to, yeah, I've like grown up with them, and a lot of their big
Mhm.
songs were new when I was younger. So like, and then I got to see them in concert back home in Philadelphia. It was insane at the Eagles Stadium. There was like I think there was like 90,000 people
Yeah,
there. It was crazy.
they put on
It
such a
was
good live show as well, don't they?
Oh yeah, yeah, it was awesome. It was, I think it was for the album. I think it was called Head Full of Dreams, that
Mhm.
album. Yeah, it was so good. It was an awesome show.
Yeah, I've been lucky enough to see them a couple of times, and not even out with the music, just the show they put on is absolutely
Oh yeah,
jaw
yeah,
dropping at times. It's phenomenal.
it was so good.
Nice. You mentioned cars and motorsport and that being a sort of massive part of your life, and it's your dad that brought that into your life. How did that kind of manifest itself? Like growing up, did you do go karting? Was it mainly on bikes and things? What?
So yeah, I never actually got to race because I mean it's expensive. Like
Yeah.
you don't get to race unless you have basically a bottomless pit. Like
Mhm.
there's a you know the phrase, you have to spend money to make money. Well, that is
Yeah.
very much the case in racing. And even at the top higher levels, like you still need to pay a ton of money to race at this point. Like
Mhm.
it's crazy. So I never got to race, but I've been able to. My family, I mean, we haven't really gone too much anymore, but I've had the privilege to be able to have gone to 9 Indy 500s. And I
Ah,
was
nice.
yeah, and I was 5 for my first one. So like just really instilling that love of racing
Mhm.
young, I guess. But
Amazing.
yeah, my dad has always been a very mechanical guy. Like he's very good at working on cars. So like whenever he's doing some repairs or something, I would go out and like watch him. I mean, there were a lot of times that I wouldn't, but when I was feeling up for it, I would. And
Yeah.
when I bought my first car, we spent a lot of time, like I spent more time working on that with him. But yeah, and like I said earlier, I'm going to school for it now. So it definitely
Yeah.
been
I was just going to say that love of motorsport has brought you to college. So where is it that you're studying?
so I am studying in Indianapolis, Indiana. And it's Yeah, I love the program so far. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's extremely difficult. Like a
Mhm.
lot of the math stuff that I'm in right now, especially online, is rough. Like engineering is a lot of like complicated stuff, and to try and teach it through a PowerPoint just for me hasn't really been that helpful.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm getting by. I'm trying to.
Yeah. Um, I mean, it must be tough during like the whole COVID pandemic, to still do the whole college thing and it being a completely different way of learning.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. But I think I have learned a lot though. I've learned a lot about myself during this too, because being able to adapt to that, because like literally, because I'm only in my second year, so
Mhm.
like the first half of my freshman year was just like normal college, right? Like I was in a dorm, like my first semester was great. And then coming into the second semester, like right up until COVID, at least here in the US, got really bad, was in March.
Yeah.
And like I remember school was like, hey, so we're going to give you an extended spring break basically because of this. So but I had heard through friends that worked on campus and stuff like that that the chances of us coming back were very slim. So I remember like calling my parents and was like, hey, I'm just going to stuff my car with as much things as I can, and like if whatever doesn't fit, we have to get later basically. And during the spring break, they made the call and was like, you're not coming back to school.
Yeah.
So I had to finish freshman year online, basically like
Mhm.
back home in Pennsylvania, which was interesting. But I mean, I got through, and yeah, and we came back this fall,
Yeah.
and I live in an apartment now. I'm not living on campus, which has been amazing because
Mhm.
I finally have my own space, which is really nice. So
Nice. So for those of us in the UK, how far away is home and college
what do you mean, like
in
in
terms of
terms
distance?
from here to my house in Pennsylvania?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, so it's about 500 miles.
Wow. So
Yeah.
it's quite a
It's
distance.
like it's like a 10-hour drive to get back home. I mean, thankfully it's only like an hour long flight, which is nice.
Mhm.
So I've done a lot of flying back and forth. But obviously I had to get my car out here, so I had to drive the whole 10 hours out here and stuff like that.
Oh, that's a mission.
But yeah, it definitely is a little bit of a hike, that's for sure. But I mean, it's a doable one. It's not like I'm driving all the way across the country. That would take days. That would take like one or
Yeah,
2 days to
this
get
is
there.
true.
So I
Um,
mean,
and so you're 19, you are sort of heavily involved in Twitch, doing college, and you have obviously a relationship with your girlfriend. Is she back home in Pennsylvania?
Yeah, so she's back home in Pennsylvania. So that's been interesting, right? Because it's I mean, it hasn't been easy, but I mean, for no relationship's easy, but the distance thing was difficult. It has been, but I mean, we make it work, and we care a lot about for each other, so we make every effort to like make this work. I mean, I knew her from high school, like we started dating in senior year, so at least we had that, right? So I mean, now we're almost at 2 years together, so, and I mean, we're used to it now. And I can't imagine like hearing stories of my parents were like, because we have FaceTime and like Zoom
Yeah.
and like all this stuff. So like that definitely makes it a lot easier. Being able to be connected the way we are is I'm very grateful for that.
Yeah,
But yeah,
definitely.
it's definitely a struggle trying to balance everything though. Like you said, I'm doing college, I'm doing Twitch, I have my relationship with my girlfriend. Like it is a lot, but I wouldn't trade it for anything. I really do enjoy doing it. Like keeps me busy.
How do you strike the balance?
Yeah, so for me, like I have the schedule, right? I made sure like, okay, so here are my classes, here's when my classes are, and then where can I fit Twitch into that? So I have my Tuesday streams, my Thursday streams, and then the weekends are usually pretty good, but I just picked Saturday because I can enjoy the Sunday off to hang out with other streamers and stuff like that. But yeah, it's definitely been difficult because I also have to switch up the schedule. Like next semester, I'm gonna probably have to pick a new schedule, right? So that's gonna be interesting to see. I mean, I'll cross that bridge when I get there, but that'll be interesting to see how that kind of evolves. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely difficult, but I think I'm managing it pretty well.
Definitely. And
Yeah.
you stream a co-stream with your girlfriend as well, don't you? So you can kind of get that time with
Yeah,
her
on
as
the
well.
Tuesdays, yeah. And it's funny, she actually started streaming herself. She started streaming Dungeons and Dragons with her friends. So it's
Oh,
really cool
really?
to kind of share that now.
Yeah.
It's very fun.
Amazing.
Yeah, and
Amazing.
like just supportive, super supportive of each other, and it really is awesome.
Brilliant. That's
I can't wait
really
to
good to
continue
hear.
those.
No, that's amazing to hear. And it takes a big level of understanding to kind of maintain that relationship over such a big distance on both of your parts. So fair play, because I dare say a lot of people couldn't or wouldn't. So well done to you guys for still going strong, man. It's good.
Yeah, man, it's awesome.
And I know this already, but for the people watching and listening, what's the long-term plan outside of gaming for you?
Okay, so I obviously, because of school, my dream is I want to work as an engineer on any of the race teams, whether it's in Formula One, IndyCar, like anything really. I just have that passion for it. Um, but I also am I'm kind of glad I got into Twitch when I did, because I still have that leeway to be able to kind of figure out what I want to do with my life, So if Twitch goes somewhere, that's going to be an option to consider, and I'm kind of grateful that I could have that, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I would say that right now my focus is definitely on pursuing the engineering job. And I've worked at some teams already, kind of as like an intern volunteer kind of thing. And I might have some opportunities over the summer that could come out of it. So yeah, it's definitely going to be fun.
I look forward to hearing all about it. You did a visit with McLaren recently, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. So they have they last year started an IndyCar program, and we went out and visited their team, me and my roommates. It was really cool. They gave us like a whole tour, shop tour and stuff. It was nuts. We didn't expect that. So yeah, we'll see if anything comes of that. But yeah.
And being there, did it kind of just reconfirm that, yeah, this is where I want to be?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Going in there, and like I said, the guy took the engineer there took us like throughout the entire shop. Basically, it was so cool, and seeing all of their. I mean, I can't go into too much detail, but
Yeah.
but just like seeing the facilities and seeing the kind of resources they have was insane. It was really cool, and I was like, oh yeah, this is the life right here.
Brilliant. Now, to finish off, I've got a few questions, and these are kind of based on the types of conversations that we've had in each other's streams where
Oh boy.
we sometimes get a bit deep,
Yeah, we
or we
do.
sometimes contemplate various things. And I think we're kind of pretty much along the same wavelength, but I'm putting a little bit of a spin on it. So some of them are a bit fun, and some will be kind of a little bit of a thinker. So basically, I'm just going to ask you a set of would you rather questions. So the first one, would you rather have fame or fortune?
Oh man, that's a hard one.
we go straight in.
We're going straight in. Oh,
Yeah.
so like, I don't know how I would do, like, obviously we're small streamers, so like we're nowhere near that yet, right? But I don't know how I would handle fame because, like, like I've said, I don't give myself enough credit. So it's like, I think I would have to pick fortune because I don't think I would necessarily handle fame any differently than how I feel right now. It's like, oh, I just have more friends. That's how I would see it.
Yeah.
But I'd probably say fortune just so I could, I want to travel. I have college debt I have to pay off. So like,
Yeah. And there's so much that comes with fame as well. It's kind of, yes, the positive aspect of fame would be amazing to experience, but then the negativity it brings, and kind of just want an easy life sometimes when you just want to go to the shop or go somewhere else and not having people follow you around and things like that. So yeah, I think I'd be the same as you. So the next one, would you rather go to jail for a year or lose a year of your life?
Oh,
I know.
Oh man. Wow. See, so going to jail for a year is like an experience that you could have in your life. But if you lose the life, then you lose all potential experiences. So, I mean, neither of these are good. But for the sole purpose of learning something and gaining a life experience, I would have to say I would go to jail for a year because I would want to have an experience.
Nice. And I suppose that experience you could turn into a positive. So
right. You can learn from that.
The next one, would you rather, and I think I'm gonna hazard a guess, I already know the answer to this one. Would you rather spend your life living in a Salem boat or an RV?
Oh, well, it's got to be the RV. I don't know. I mean, boats are cool, and but you could travel more with the boat. But then again, you could just drive your RV onto a ferry or something. So like, if I still wanted to travel, I could with the RV, I guess. I don't know. I think I'd much rather be in the RV because the boat can only get you so far, where the RV can take you anywhere, right? So
nice.
So yeah, RV.
All right. So the next one I think is the hardest of the lot.
Oh boy. Let's hear
it. Would you rather know how you're going to die or when you'll die?
Ooh, that is a hard one.
I'm not sure myself. Like, genuinely,
yeah, I wouldn't
don't
be
know
sure
what I would
either
choose.
because like if you knew how, I feel like I would always have the fear of, okay, it's gonna come, right? But if I knew when, you'd also have the fear of like, okay, well now I have to fit as much life into this time as I could get. So
and
I don't know.
Especially if it's like in 2 weeks' time, and you're like,
right. Oh, I don't know. I think I would want to know when, because I wouldn't want to, because I feel like I would live trying to avoid everything, even though like, I'm assuming this question, like, death's inevitable. So it's like, I wouldn't be able to avoid it. Eventually it would still happen. So I think I would rather know when, just so I could do everything without having to worry about avoiding something.
Yeah. I suppose if you knew how, you'd spend your life living like you were living in kind of a Final Destination movie, and you'd be forever trying to avoid that certain scenario, but somehow it would spin around and it would get you anyway. So
yeah, exactly.
All right. So the last one in the would you rather is nowhere near as serious as the last. So would you rather, every time it happened, would you rather fart really loud but it doesn't smell, or they'll all be silent but the smell would be so bad it could kill a small animal?
Oh my god. What a way to end it. I would have to. I would say silent because then I could blame it on people, right? Because if it was
Yes.
loud, it would just embarrass myself. But like, you could play it off as like, oh, that wasn't me, right? Like,
Yeah,
oh man.
definitely. And one more question to finish on.
All
So,
right.
if you could choose one actor to play you in a movie of your life so far, who would it be?
Oh my gosh. I don't. Do I even know enough younger actors that could play me right now? I don't know. I mean,
With the magic of cinema, they can make anybody look
they
younger.
can
So,
make any. They
so
can make it
you're good.
happen. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm a huge fan of Marvel, so like maybe any of the Chris's, like this would be like, let's just say that I'm their age, right?
Hmm.
If they were playing me like a whole life, any of the Chris's, like Evans, Pratt, like love those guys.
Yeah.
I don't know though. Maybe Leo. I love Leo. Love me some Leonardo DiCaprio. I don't know. I don't know. I've never actually really thought about that. That is a hard one
It's
to like
tough.
come up with on the fly. Like, because
Maybe we could.
I'm not like a massive movie guy, believe it or not. Like I mean I love I like watching movies obviously, but a lot of movies and actors, like I know the big ones, but I don't know
Yeah.
any of like some of the more obscure stuff. So yeah.
I think you're on good lines with the Marvel guys. The Chris's are decent. They're good.
Yeah, I mean you can't go wrong with them.
Nah, definitely not. Love a bit of Marvel. Well, Gaprunner, it has been an absolute pleasure. I've thoroughly enjoyed that. Like, literally, I'm sat here and my
Yeah,
cheeks are
man.
aching from smiling. Like, I've thoroughly enjoyed that. So, thank you so much for taking the time out to come and speak
Yeah.
to me.
Yeah, dude, thank you so much for having me, man. Like I said, I was super excited to like kind of be on here. I'd never done a podcast before, so like just to be able to get to this point, like I think is really cool for me. But yeah, I really appreciate it, and I hope everybody at home has fun watching it. Learn a little bit more about me.
I'm sure they will. I'm sure they will. Gaprunner, thank you again so much. And guys, if you are watching and listening, make sure you check this guy out on Twitch. You will absolutely not regret it. Hey guys, thank you so much for your feedback on the last episode. I'm so glad you enjoyed it. I really enjoyed this week's episode too, so thank you again to Gaprunner. I'm confident that you will love what you see if you go and follow him on Twitch. Next week's guest will be announced over on my Twitter at 5v4 Gaming, so keep an eye out for that this week. And also, if you like what you see, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and please tell your friends. And remember, if you want to be a guest, slide in those DMs. I'll be happy to talk to you. Take care.